Isn't that weird?
I think that's so when...
Hello. Hello, people. Hopefully people are able to find us on a live chat. Just let people join us. I think people are probably sitting on the other one.
If you can hear us, can you maybe someone
There's
just...
nobody actually on at the moment.
Oh.
Yes, 2 people joining.
Just wait until a few more people have joined, and then we'll get going.
So we had some technical problems. This is the first live, and I thought by scheduling it, then you would just click on something or it would automatically go live and Bob's your uncle. But that wasn't the case. Oh, suddenly we've jumped up to quite a few more people. Oh, thank goodness for that. Hello from Vancouver. Oh, I'm going to be you're going to see close-ups of me because my eyesight, I'm going to have to lean right forward to be able to see you.
I definitely can't read it. Even with my new glasses, I can't read that.
My eyesight's not too bad. Or where else are people from? From Western Massachusetts. There were loads of people on the chat which has disappeared. Yeah, I think what it is what you do is you schedule it as a live, but then it's not actually your live. I think you then upload the video behind it. So this is my first time of trying. So next time I will be much more on the ball. But I think that's what happened. And then suddenly we realized that the countdown had finished and we hadn't gone live. So, yeah, anybody that spoke to me at Unravel over the weekend will know how nervous I was about the technology side of this. I'm not nervous about the knitting, not nervous about the chat. It was the technology that was scaring the hell out of me.
It'll be fine. Once we've done it once, we'll be fine.
We'll be fine. Yeah, so we've got other people. Hello from Scotland. You've had nice weather up in Scotland. I know my daughter I spoke to earlier, and she was saying she'd been to the beach, which is quite unusual in Scotland in September, and North Wales, and from Canada, and from Cardiff. Ooh, well, we're in Cornwall. I'm Jane, who you all know as the Cornish Knitter.
I'm Fran. I'm one of the customers of the lovely Stitches and Cream shop.
And Fran is an avid knitter,
yeah.
and kindly agreed to help out with this knit along. And she is going to be probably knitting the Aster Shawl for us. And I'm going to be doing the Erysimum Shawl. I chose that because I struggle saying the name, don't I? We are going to be leading you through this shawl knit along over the next 3 months. And I thought it would be useful just to have a bit of a chat about what it is and what it's going to do, because I went onto the Ravelry group earlier today, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later. But I went onto that earlier, and I saw some people.
Can't see us yet.
Can't see us. Can people see us?
No, just the waiting screen from Jane.
No, that's on the other one.
Yeah, no, I've just sent her.
No, that's on the note.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So if you say that one, just say that we're on a live stream now, if they could join us. Technical issues.
Okay.
Can people say yes, they can hear us? Yeah, we can see you. So lovely. Thank you. Yeah. So this knit along, I know that, as I said, as I was reading sort of the comments in the forums, that people were incredibly anxious about knitting along with this. As I said in my vlog, this was my first knit along too, and I'm a bit nervous about sort of talking to you about it, but I think we'll be fine, because this is about, for me, as I sort of say on my vlog, knitting is about sharing experience, learning with each other, and also sort of supporting each other, because knitting is so much more than just knitting, isn't it? We were talking the other day, weren't we, in the group about what knitting means to all of us, and it's just that sense of connection. It's, well, as we can see from the people that are all commenting from where, and do comment in the comments about where you're from, because it's lovely to see who we're reaching. But yeah, knitting is about so much more than just the working with the fibre. It's about what it does for you in terms of your confidence, how you can meet other people. How
it's community.
It's community, yeah. It's about making friends. Can see and hear you fine. Oh, great.
Still got some people that can't join us. Okay, I'll see what we can do.
Yeah, so hopefully people will realise and convert over. Tell them maybe to come off of.
Yeah, I have said to exit and to try again
on the live feed.
Yeah.
So Hampton Court on the Thames, West Sussex. Yeah. So the knit along itself, as I said on the vlog, is for 2 shawls. Hopefully those of you that ordered kits, they arrived in plenty of time. If they haven't, they are on their way. And thank you for those orders. I know lots of you are choosing your own yarns, and that will be lovely to see what people choose and what people use. Hello from Suffolk. Oh, yay. Lovely. People are still commenting. So yes, so choose whatever you wanted to knit. We were going to do 2 shawls. One was the Aster Shawl by Natasha Hornby, and the other is the Erysimum Shawl by Celine Phaeton. And it's up to you which you do. Of the 2, I would probably say the Erysimum is very slightly easier, having read through the patterns in detail. But don't worry, if you picked the Aster Shawl and you're thinking, oh, it might be a bit tricky, it won't be, because we're going to guide you every step of the way. So as I said, we want to create this sort of really supportive community where people feel able to reach out and sort of say, I'm really stuck on this bit. And if need be, I can create, or Fran will help me to create some knitting tutorials on any bits that people are getting stuck on too. So that it will help you sort of guide you through that stage. But having seen a lot of the comments on Ravelry already, I know that many of you are already supporting each other, which is amazing. So we're going to launch today. I've got mine to cast on. I'm doing the Erysimum in the monochrome colourway.
And I'm going to be doing the Aster in these gorgeous colours. Look at these, lovely. So cream and a couple of really beautiful pinky shades. So I think that's going to be super pretty. And it's the most delicious yarn. The cream's Telling Yarns, is it?
No, that's Amble by the Fibre Company.
Fibre Company. And then this one's Telling Yarns.
Yeah, and these are both, they're blacker yarns, the pinks.
Blacker?
Yeah, blacker yarns. They're a blue face Leicester.
But they're all lovely complementary shades, and I think it's going to look super pretty. And
so the cream
very
one,
cozy.
The cream one knits up. You've seen it. Oh, my camera's doing weird things. I'm going the opposite way to you guys. So the cream one knits up looking like that. And some of you opted for the blue one, which is also really stunning, which looks like that. In the blue one, I would decide which one you want to use the most, the contrast colours, because one, you're going to use an awful lot more in that sort of slip stitch design. And then in the Erysimum shawl, some of you, I saw somebody describe it as mint choc chip, which I loved. I think I put it as aqua on there, but yeah, I think you're right. It is mint choc chip. So this is the Erysimum in the aqua colourway, and I'm going to be knitting it today, or starting to cast on in this monochrome colourway, which was, I think that was our most popular kit that we had, the monochrome, which actually surprised me, because when you're picking colours, you don't know what's going to be popular. And if you'd asked me before I actually sort of asked you guys what you'd like and knitted up those samples, I probably wouldn't have said that would be the first one. But once I knitted it, I could see why it was going to be so popular. So we'll go through the 2 patterns in a little bit more detail in a minute. I mentioned the Ravelry group. Now, I know not everybody uses Ravelry, and certainly from my perspective, I've only ever really used Ravelry as a means of just searching for patterns and saving them in my favourites, which at the moment is probably approaching. How many are in your favourites?
Over 3,000.
Yeah, you've beaten me.
I have stopped putting them in bundles though, so I can actually find things now.
Have you got bundles within bundles?
I've got bundles within bundles, and I link things. So I've got things like sweaters, colour work, or lace, and then I've got things that I think my daughter might like. Quite often she doesn't, but so I try and I try and put them into several bundles, because otherwise I just can't find them. You know, I go through and I heart things, and then they disappear, and it takes me forever to find them again. So yeah, putting them in bundles has definitely helped. I wish I'd started that at the beginning.
I didn't start doing that when I did mine, but I did actually move mine back.
Oh right, okay.
I went back to the beginning and started allocating them into bundles, because so my bundles, for example, I've got like a fingering weight sweater, colour work sweaters, and sometimes they're in 2 bundles, of course.
Yeah.
Shawls, KALs, you know, I sort of try and DK sweaters, cardigans.
And I also favourite designers as well. So you get the whole of their so you favorited the designer itself, and I think that changes the algorithm slightly about what when you do Hot Right Now, or what Ravelry thinks that you might like when you look at new patterns. I think that changes the order that things come up. So the more designers that you know you like and you favourite, I think it changes what the offering is.
Okay.
What comes up first. So we've still got some people that are lost on YouTube, so I'm just going to see if I can work it out on my phone. Let's see if we can gather them in as well.
Yeah, we want as many of you to join as possible. But the reason I'm talking about Ravelry is I've never really used groups before. And I know that they're really popular, groups or forums. So any of you that are old hands at using them, and I've seen, as I said, I looked through the threads on there today, the discussions, and I can see that some people are really experienced. Do go on and help other people who might not know how to do stuff. But I have set up a group, which is the Cornish Knitter Shawl KAL, knit along. And it seems that there are 2 forums that are already running at the moment. There's the Aster Shawl one and there's the Erysimum Shawl one. So whichever one you're going to knit, do hop in there and have a look. But I do appreciate not everybody is on Ravelry. So we will be on Instagram posting about the knit along as well. And I really want you guys to do that too. So get on there and use the hashtag stitches and cream KAL. Whenever you're posting, show us your progress. We want to see it on Instagram, and we want to see it on Ravelry as well. And keep sort of building the momentum. It's not a race, guys. So some people are really fast knitters. Some people aren't. Some people have a lot of time to knit. Others just grab half an hour here and there where they can. Some people really enjoy that sort of challenge of getting things done. Others just want to relax and enjoy the process. So I don't want anybody to feel that they are sort of being pressured to knit anything beyond the speed that they want to. This session, this knit along, and anything that I do is all about enjoyment and enjoying the process and connecting people together over a shared passion of yarn. So I would just sort of say, it doesn't matter if you don't finish the project in the 3 months that we'll be running this knit along. It really doesn't matter. It's just that you enjoy the process, you feel that you've connected with some people, and maybe you make some friends along the way. So Ravelry is one place, and Instagram as well. I will be hopping in and out to the Ravelry group and on Instagram. And you know you can reach me on via this YouTube, so you can put comments underneath the live YouTubes when I post them up afterwards, so that people can go back and see them. So if you've got any queries, any questions, you want to share any sort of experience, do pop it on one of those sort of places. Fran, I was asking you about how you upload a photo onto the Ravelry group.
Right. unless you've bought the option, which you can do, this is an annual subscription you can do with Ravelry that allows you to post any pictures you like. But if you haven't got that, then you need to have set up a project. And then once you've done that, you can add pictures
From
to your
your own
project
library.
to your project page. And then once you've got that, go into the forum and you'll see that there is an option. I can't remember completely how to do it, but it's kind of putting things in inverted commas and linking to your project. And then there are instructions within the forum page on how to do it. I'm just going to go to my Rav page and just see if I can.
So when I did it just before we started, because Fran was showing me, so I clicked on projects and I sort of selected the Erysimum Shawl, and I've set up my project. I haven't uploaded any photos yet because we were about to go live, and my goodness, we had a bit of a we were like expecting to be live bang on time, and we weren't. But yeah, so those are the places that we can communicate. This YouTube live is the place for you to join in. Having chatted to Fran, we think we'll do another one probably next Friday at 7 o'clock in the evening for anybody that can join. Don't worry if you can't, I'll always post them up afterwards. And if you pop comments in, if you need to ask any questions and you're not on Instagram or Ravelry, just pop it into the YouTube video when you see it, and I'll try and come back to you. Hopefully you'll see that through my vlogs, I really do sort of value your comments. So anybody that takes the time to make a comment, I always try and respond to you quite quickly. So I just think it's, I really sort of appreciate that you've taken that time. So somebody said on here that they don't know how to use hashtags. Jackie Wapshot.
With that, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. You only have to use one, Jackie. If you are on Facebook or Instagram, it is just that little sort of, it looks like a little cross checkerboard, 2 lines down, 2 across, and you just do that and start typing in stitches and cream with no spaces, stitches and cream, KAL, and it will probably just pop up and you'll see it, and you can just click on it and say, yeah, that's the one I want to put on my post. So hopefully that will help. Or if you're like me and you've got, well, mine aren't teenagers anymore, but kids that are sort of digitally much savvier than us. Fran and I were saying before when we were having the problem, oh God, why didn't you get your daughter to come down, Fran?
I should have done. Although she doesn't do YouTube any longer, she's a TikToker now.
Oh,
so.
right, okay.
But I'm sure she would have been able to help
That's
us.
beyond me. TikTok, I go on it and I get, I was like, oh my goodness, and come off of it again. So comment anywhere you can. If all else fails, if you go onto my website, www.stitchesandcream.co.uk, and I will put that in the notes underneath. The contact page on there will come straight to me. So if all else fails, go by that route. But the aim is to support you as much as we can. So we will do another one next Friday at 7 p.m. Again, British summertime. And apologies for those of you that live other parts of the world, because it's really difficult trying to pick a time that Fran and I wouldn't be in at midnight. I'm sure we'd both be okay talking about it.
We should be able to. I think we can cope.
But we'll try that again. And then I was thinking fortnightly, we will hop on and do an hour knit along so that we can all meet up and just share progress. And by then, if people have been sort of commenting about things that they want to learn, or sort of things about the pattern, we'll have been knitting on them too, and we can respond to those. I'll collect them and we can respond to them. Somebody's coming on holiday to Cornwall this week and hoping to pop into the shop. We're open Tuesday to Saturday, by the way. Bringing my Aster Shawl to knit whilst I'm in the lovely county. I'm hoping the sun will stay out. It's been super hot, super lovely. but I don't know what the weather's like next week. So as I said, we'll if there's anything really complex, for example, on the Erysimum Shawl, I know that mosaic knitting is something some of you might not have tried. I will do a little video when we get to that, or when I get to it, but I'm happy to do a little video. So the mosaic knitting itself is so the mosaic knitting, oh, I keep doing this the wrong way around. So it's this bit here, but you're not carrying two colours at once. You're basically using one colour, and you slip a stitch from the row below, and that's what brings the other colour into the row. It is not difficult at all, honestly. It's a really great introduction to colour work. But I will do a little video on how to do that. And I'm sure there are things like German short rows which feature in the Aster Shawl, but right at the end. So don't panic, you're not going to get them straight away. But they'll be right at the end. So do let us know if you want us to do any sort of demonstrations on the lives as we do them. And I'll make sure that we can all support each other. And I know many of you are really experienced too, and if you are, please support those that are trying this for the first time, because we've all been there, haven't we? We all try something for the first time, and it's like first day at school or first day in a new job. It's like really scary.
It can be a bit daunting sometimes, can't it? You come up against a new technique and it's not in your reference book, and then you go on something like YouTube and there's just masses of different videos, and you can get lost at finding something that you relate to, because I think everyone learns differently. Some people are better reading, some people like to watch a video, somebody needs someone to show them personally. So that's one of the great things about coming here, is that there's, you know, every 2 weeks we have a lovely stitchy meetup, and there's always somebody that's done a technique who can take someone through if they've got a problem.
Yeah, no, yeah, we do have we're lucky enough to get people in sort of every couple of weeks. It's a lovely group of people, really supportive, and the chatter and the noise.
We've got somebody who would like a video on mosaic, so.
Oh, right, okay. Already. Okay, but I will go through the patterns in a little bit more detail in a minute. So a lot of you are winding your wool as we speak, so getting ready. Somebody's asked about whether we've done any swatching. Well, I obviously did, although it's not technically swatching, I obviously did the samples.
So you could, if you're, I don't tend to swatch.
I was just going to fess up and say
I do for jumpers.
The only thing I really swatch for is for sweaters and cardigans because of fit, and if I was test knitting somebody else's pattern.
I do sometimes when you've got colour work, if you're not sure about how the colours go together. You don't have to, it's not like doing a full gauge swatch. You're not having to do as many stitches. You could maybe cast on 10 stitches and do a few rows, and each colour, see how they work together, because sometimes you might have something that maybe is not going to show that tonally it's too close and it won't show up well enough. So sometimes it is worth doing that. Although there are other tricks you can do. So you could get paint stick or something relatively about that big, like a ruler, and you could wind the yarn round and alternate the colours, and that would give you also a good idea of whether the colours are going to work together. But I would say swatching, it has a place, especially if it's a technique that you haven't done before, like the mosaic. If you're worried about it, if you do a little test piece, then you can it doesn't matter if you rip that out and that little bit of yarn gets all frayed because you've done it so many times. It's only a test piece. So you know, if it's a technique you haven't done before, I would do a test swatch, but not necessarily for gauge, more for, do your colours work? Are you happy with how this new technique's working for you? Do you need some extra advice on that? So I wouldn't do it for gauge, other than kind of, do you like the fabric you're making?
And if you have knitted sort of a little bit before, and I'm presuming that a number of you have knitted a few things before, even if you're sort of a fairly new knitter. You sort of know, don't you, whether you're a looser knitter or relaxed knitter. I don't like the word looser knitter. It sounds sort of wrong, as if you're doing something wrong, and it's not. And I think if you're a relaxed knitter, or whether you're a tight knitter, you tend to know yourself whether you are. And if you feel that you wanted to go change your needle size to adapt to that, then do. But by all means, do a swatch. I feel that I've done my swatches, but if you guys feel more confident by doing a swatch, I've just looked at the mosaic pattern on the Erysimum, and the mosaic repeat is 12 stitches. So if you just wanted to have a little go at that, you could say cast on 24 stitches and just do like 2 repeats for a few rows just to get used to it.
There's a question from Gudrun here. Gudrun 1000, a centre double decrease purled is a bit of a challenge. Now I know that is a different way of doing that.
It's in the pattern. It talks about it in the pattern.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the pattern in a moment. I'll talk about both patterns in a little bit more detail. The last thing I'm going to mention about the KAL, we're going to go into early December. And as I said, if people could start sort of sharing their progress, adding comments, the more you add comments on YouTube, by the way, the higher the number of followers I get, because it sort of gets to more people and we build this community. So do go on and add comments. But what I'm going to do is throughout the knit along, there are going to be some prizes, and those prizes aren't going to be for the first over the line, by the way. They're going to be for those people that make progress or find something that really inspires them about sort of joining the group. So it's going to be related to what your comments are, either here, as I said, Ravelry, Instagram, and some of your progress images as well. So they're going to be picked at random in a really fair way, but anything that really sort of built on this sense of community and the fact that people feel that they're achieving something, I think is the most important thing. So there will be some prizes. You can see we've got lots to choose from. So some of the prizes will be yarn related, but they're in terms of actual physical yarn, and some of them might be sort of notion related. But throughout the course of the knit along, please participate, and I will be selecting people randomly and contacting them and announcing them on the lives. And if you get in contact with us, there'll be a prize whizzing off to some of you. So that will be good. Have you got any questions before I go on to the patterns in details?
Quick scroll through, just see if there's anything else.
I wanted Fran along too.
So I can do the kind of...
You are okay without your glasses?
Yeah.
Oh, you've got your glasses.
got my new glasses on, because they're the new ones, you see. Yeah, not used to them.
So before Fran sort of looks at that, I was at Unravel, which is a yarn festival in the south of England over the weekend, and so many of you came up and said hello, and thank you so much for those of you that did. It was super hot there, so bravo for coming along, because you know, as much as I love yarn, I think it was a challenge coming in the extreme heat. In the UK, we're not used to extreme heat, and it was about 32 degrees, so really warm with no air conditioning. So but it was so lovely to see so many people come along and hear from you how much you both enjoy the podcast, but also how you love connecting over yarn. So thank you for approaching me, and it was just lovely to hear all your stories and hear so many of you are visiting Falmouth or want to visit Falmouth too. So I think I'm going to get hold of the town people and say, can we do a bit of tourism around this? So I'm going to talk about both shawls now in terms of a little bit more detail about the pattern. Oh, sorry, we've got a very noisy car go past. Falmouth is still really busy with visitors at the moment. So the pattern I'm going to be knitting, as I said, is the Erysimum Shawl by Celine Phaeton. In fact, Celine did contact me, and she has joined the Ravelry group. So fabulous. She is there, and she said she'll be on hand to give pattern support, which
wow, that's fantastic.
I think was amazing. She was really sort of pleased that we picked her shawl as one of the shawls, and really keen to see what people make of her pattern. So a really great place to go and look. But so it's an asymmetric shawl. You start at the tiniest point at the corner. So I think you cast on, I've got both patterns here, you cast on 3 stitches to start with in your, and she grades the colours from the lightest to the darkest. So colour A is your lightest colour, colour B is your medium colour, and colour C is the darker colour. So you cast on with colour A, and she makes it plain through each of the pattern because it's in bold when you need to change colours. And the pattern itself, you sort of cast on 3 stitches and you increase from there, working out on one side, so you create this sort of bias that the pattern has. It's basically some garter stitches, a mosaic chart, and some floral lace. And the lace is very simple, so don't get stressed about doing the lace. The schematic, I don't know if you can see that there. You can see it's a classic asymmetric shawl. You have 3 skeins. Those of you that are using your own yarn, you have basically just under 400 meters of the 3 different colors. She has got here both a chart for the mosaic, but also she's got written instructions in there as well. So some people, you love a chart.
I love a chart.
Yeah, and you use yours digitally.
I do. I use Knit Companion, which allows me to highlight things like whether they're left and right decreases and increases, how many repeats I've got to do, things like that. So you can play around depending on what level you are in Knit Companion. You can really set up a chart to be super easy to follow. So it flags all the things that you need to do. So you can knit fairly mindlessly to a certain extent, because it's saying, it makes it very obvious.
I mean, I can work from a chart easily, and you put me onto Knit Companion, but I do actually sometimes quite like to go from the written.
I sometimes find that when I'm starting a pattern, I'll read both the written and look at the chart just to make sure that I've understood what the chart's telling me to do as a kind of cross check. And I suppose it would work the other way around as well. You can check your understanding of what the written instructions are. If you prefer to work that way, you can then refer to the chart and kind of go, okay, yeah, I can see that there's, 3 knit stitches, then there's a left leaning decrease or whatever. So they're quite complementary, and you just follow the instructions that you prefer.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of different stitches in this pattern, as you'll see from the abbreviations. You start off with casting on 5 stitches, which I'm going to do in a minute. And as I said, you increase on one side and you start off with some stripes. So you're striping your lightest colour with your medium colour to start with. And it seems to go in sort of sections. So you do a stripy section, and then you've got like a little eyelet stripe. And then you go into your mosaic section, and then you go into another stripy section, and then it sort of builds up like that. And then you finish on the edge, the biggest bit, with a bit of this sort of eyelet lace. And looking at how many stitches you end up with, it's 232 at the very end, which isn't too bad for a shawl, to be honest. And you knit it. The pattern recommends 4mm needles with 100 centimetre cable, just so that you can get all those stitches on. As I said, up to you whether you want to go up or down a size, but bearing in mind the weight of the yarn is a fingering weight yarn, I wouldn't necessarily go up unless you really want to, because it would, and because this is a superwash yarn as well, it could stretch. So if anything, I would stick with the 4mm or go down a little bit if you wanted a slightly tighter fabric. So that's that one. So the Erysimum, and that's the one that I'm going to do. The Aster Shawl by Natasha Hornby recommends both 3.5mm and then 3.25mm, changing to 3.25mm when you get to the garter stripes. So this design, have you got the schematic there? I think it's a bit further on. The schematic. This design is a crescent shape shawl. So sort of a winged out, and you can see you start right at that top apex here, and you start with that one. This is the one that you cast on 3 stitches, and you do a number of rows that are just like a little tab. So it feels a bit weird because you knit this little
you kind of knit almost round it. You cast on 3 stitches, and then you kind of go round and create another.
Knit on this pattern, you knit about 18 rows or something, and then you pick up stitches around it, and then it expands quickly from there, having read the pattern.
And it gives this nice curve, because if you just start a shawl and start going backwards and front, it can create a bit of a bump in the middle, and doing a garter tab helps to smooth out that beginning of the crescent. It gives it a nice kind of ease at the top of the shawl.
The pattern itself is, this one has only is completely written until you get to that scalloped border with the Aster pattern, the Aster flower design on it, and at that point it goes into a chart. She doesn't have written instructions for that bit, so you will have to use the chart. Yeah, it's not that clear on here, but hopefully you've all downloaded your patterns too. If any of you confused where the patterns are, they're both on Ravelry, or if not, you can buy them straight from the designers. So the construction of this is you start with this sort of slip stitch lacework, and again it is very simple to do. You're just basically, and a little bit like the mosaic knitting, you're just slipping a stitch wherever the pattern tells you, and it creates these sort of, it looks like sort of a ribbed effect. Here we are. I'll show on here. Although this is sort of done in colour work, you start off at the start doing this sort of, I'll put up to the light, you can see where these little ribs are. I think you start off doing that sort of pattern until you create that sort of crescent shape, and then after that you go into alternating garter stitch colours. So you sort of alternate the lighter pink and the darker pink, and then you build out from there, but you introduce the lighter pink into the slip stitch lace pattern, and you do sort of several repeats of both the garter stripe and that slip stitch pattern until you get to the border, and then that's all done in your main colour. There is in the pattern the central
short rows at the end,
German short rows, but during the pattern as well there is the abbreviation is CDDP, which is central double decrease pearl. And what she's suggesting, there are several ways to do this if you've been on Ravelry or you used another one. The way she's designed the pattern, she says that step 1 for this, you slip 2 stitches knitwise, one at a time. So from one needle to the other, instead of the normal way you slip a stitch is you sort of go into it purlwise and slip, don't you?
So she's telling
you're twisting the stitches by taking them knitwise.
And you're also altering the order of the stitch as well.
And then you insert your left hand needle into those slip stitches from right to left and return them back onto the left hand needle. So that's where you sort of twisted them by doing that process. So you're simply slipping from one to the other and then taking them back, but they're aligned differently when you take them back. And then you purl all those 3 stitches together, and that's what that abbreviation means. And she sort of sets it out quite clearly in the pattern, but if you do get stuck on it, again, let us know and we'll make sure that we put up a little video clip for you. If you do use another method, she says that that's fine, but that's the way she's written the pattern. When you get to that Aster pattern on the edge, again, it's a sort of slip stitch pattern, and it sort of creates that lovely sort of fan shape that you can see in the photographs that are alongside it. And then you create the scalloped edge by using German short rows. And I know from talking to customers, a lot of people find German short rows a little bit scary, but she has given, again, a really good instruction on how she's done her German short rows. But for sure, we will do a video on that bit just to reassure you, to make sure, and we will do it on here as well on a future one, just so that you can see how you would do it. And just to give you that bit of confidence, it is not difficult. All you're doing is creating extra fabric in certain places using German short rows. You usually put it at the back of your neck, for example, so you create a bit of extra fabric at the back of the neck. But in this instance, she's creating that sort of lovely scalloped edge.
Yeah.
Which is...
Tracy's got a question about the Aster shawl. She wants to know if CC1, so colour 1, is the medium colour and CC2 is the darker colour, as written.
Yeah, the CC1 is the lighter of the two contrasts, and CC2 is the darker one. Now, those of you that have got the blue boot,
that one.
Yeah, that one, and then that one's CC2 in that kit. Those of you that did choose the blue Aster kit, I think you can choose which one you'd prefer, because I think tonally they're probably about as strong as each other. But if you've chosen your own yarns, do you just choose which one you want to be more dominant than the other when you're actually knitting? That's the joy of knitting, isn't it? It's everybody's is different, and that's what I'm going to love seeing through this process, because you'll have all sort of chosen your own sort of styles and use different colors if you haven't used the kits, and it will all look different. And that's what I love. That's what I love when people come in the shop and helping them to choose their colors to do something, and then seeing what it looks like afterwards.
We've got somebody else coming down on holiday. We've got Brenda. She's coming down from County Durham.
Oh, well,
she's going to be here in a few weeks' time.
Quite a long way, Brenda. Are you driving? The A30 when you get near to us is a bit of a nightmare. Just be prepared for that. Just they're rebuilding it, and it's there's been lots of roadworks, hasn't there, on there?
I haven't been on the A30 for ages. I've avoided it.
But no, you'll have a lovely time, and do come in and see us. It's lovely to see so many of you when you pop in the shop. So hopefully that sort of reassured you about what the KAL is involved with the KAL. So we're going to do it over 3 months. There is Ravelry group. If you've done one before, you want to get involved in that, do go on, set up your project first in your Ravelry, so that you can move the pictures across. Make sure you comment. There's also the Instagram, on your Instagram. If you tag us with that hashtag, and I will put it in the notes that I do afterwards when I upload this. I might not be uploading it tonight, it might be tomorrow, but it is hashtag Stitches and Cream KAL, KAL, all one word, and then I will get to see it, and then I can sort of make sure that I can sort of repost and share what you're doing, so we create a bit of a buzz about it, which is important. Or comment, as I said, on the video here, but yeah, the whole thing is that we sort of learn together, as you can see on the live thing. That won't happen next time. I will know next time that I have to set up a completely different one.
Yeah,
I'll just go live next time. I'll just let you know when it's happening, and then just go live next time, so you don't start chatting on the wrong one. So I don't know whether you're going to cast on. Are you going to cast on?
I could start casting on, yeah.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about shawls, because I don't know about you guys. I love a shawl.
Love a shawl.
I knit summer ones, so I do sort of lighter yarns. And
I've done a few cotton ones
for summer ones, and then I like in the winter they just get thicker and thicker and heavier and bigger, and I end up sort of wrapping them around me. I get really cold on my neck.
I hate my neck being cold.
And I think if my neck's cold, the rest of me feels cold. It's sort of...
that and ankles. So good hand knit socks.
What can you knit for ankle socks? Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think we're of a generation when they had leg warmers.
Oh, yes.
Jane Fonda.
Oh, yes.
I used to be in my front room.
I remember wanting a pair really, really badly. In the end, I got a pair of leg warmers, but they were rather dismal brown, so I didn't. And then it was kind of, do you wear them over your jeans, with your boots? It never really worked. Never looked as glamorous as the girls in Honey and 19 magazine as it was then.
Oh my goodness!
I know, I'm going really far back now.
I think I can remember them too. But no, we used to. Anybody that's of a similar age to us, we used to have Jane Fonda.
Yes, Jane Fonda workout.
Probably cassette videos at the time.
Oh yes. Oh yes, there are certain tracks that even now, when I hear them, I kind of think I should be marching in place and doing something with my arms or something like that. Or donkey kicks or something. You know, it's ingrained in my brain. And now there's just so much choice.
Fran, are you a pull from the middle kind of girl, or are you from the outside? Because I've got a bit of yarn vomit here.
I tend to be from the outside because I've got little yarn butlers, and
they are yarn butlers.
Yeah,
are like
I'll show you. These came from the States, but you can get similar things.
I've got some at home that were made locally.
So this spins round.
That's wound quite tightly.
Yeah.
But,
some people
so you'd put it on there like that.
Yeah.
But this is quite tight in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm worried everything's going to come out.
I follow Tech Knitter on well, I think she's just on it's just web pages, I think, but she's got a very interesting article about whether pulling for the center adds or subtracts twist, and she's done various experiments with kind of tape measures and things, and I can't remember whether pulling from the center adds twist. I think it might subtract twist, and if you pull from the outside but you kind of pull up in a loop, it does the opposite. So the ideal neutral way is to have it so the ball is turning and coming off at the side.
I always take from the outside.
Yeah. There are certain yarns though that I will go from the center on. If it's super slippy, like a linen, or that tencel yarn that I'm playing with at the moment.
Oh, yeah, she's knitting us a sample.
I'm taking that from the middle because otherwise I think it'll go everywhere. And it's too slippy. It doesn't seem to want to work on the spindles either. So I think it varies, and it varies according to the yarn. I have found pulling from the middle sometimes it does change the twist. So I think it does depend. And of course, the advantage pulling from the middle is that it keeps it nice and neat, doesn't it? Until that last bit when you can get a bit of yarn bath. But it does mean that it's a bit more portable sometimes, because otherwise if it's not in a yarn bowl or in a bag and you're pulling from the outside, your ball can kind of go halfway around the living room and round the table legs and
so I've just
chase it.
Just on a classic thing here.
What have you done?
I started, I was getting ahead of myself, and because I was sort of half looking at those things, I started knitting with my tail.
Oh.
And now I've got to pick back.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's only 6 stitches, so I've got to pick back. Yeah, I had a lovely time at Ravelry, and I am going to do a little video on my time at Ravelry, but I went up with the intention of not buying any.
Bet you did.
Single yarns. And I didn't buy any singles.
No.
I actually bought I bought a lot. But I did buy, well, a lot of it actually was research for the shop, because there was some lovely, really sort of natural fibre and natural dyed yarns.
I think that's one of the things that Unravel specialises in, isn't it? More of the natural yarns. And
yeah, there was one called Ginger Pink. Ginger Pink, I think she was. Hers was Blue Face Leicester. Can't remember where she was based.
That's nice, isn't it? Lovely sheen to Blue Face
and
Leicester.
she dyes all her dyes she grew in her garden.
Oh,
so that was lovely. And then and they were lovely colours. She got a really good depth of colour.
That can be hard with natural dyes, I believe.
Yeah. And another lady was called Nellie and Eve, or Nellie and You. Bought an amazing bag, which I'll show you on the next vlog. I meant to bring it to show you because I know you're going to love it.
Oh.
She's made it out of Welsh wool and recycled Welsh wool, and then she's lined it with linen, and it's like a big bucket thing that you just tie at the top.
Oh, how nice.
And I had to buy it because I bought so much yarn I didn't have.
We had to have something to put all the yarn in. And were there any new kind of gizmos and things that you spotted that you hadn't seen before to make our knitting lives easier?
Not gizmos. I did. There was a lovely lady that made ebony wooden needles and crochet hooks, and they were beautiful. I did get a crochet hook just to see what that was like. Aesthetically, it looks stunning.
Yes.
It will be. I haven't used it yet to see what it actually is like when you.
I ought to get back into crochet. I haven't done it for years.
But apart from that, I think most of the exhibitors were either yarn suppliers or needle suppliers. So yeah, but the Nellie and Eve lady, I think it was Nellie and Eve, she is based in Wales, and she uses Welsh wool from her own flock. And again, she was a natural dyer, and that was absolutely stunning. And she was called Helen. She was lovely, and I got chatting to her. So both of them have agreed to stock the shop with some stuff, which was lovely. And I had done I went round and did a bit of video recording too of the different stalls. And then there was another lady, and I think it was called Fibre Workshop was her company, and she has Norfolk Horn yarns. And they were beautiful too, and she writes her own patterns, and they were stunning.
Is that a soft yarn? It's not one that I've ever come across, Norfolk Horn.
It's not too dissimilar from BFL, a little bit woollier, toothier.
Yeah.
Good for colour whack.
Nice.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe a little bit like Shetland yarn.
Okay.
Yeah. I bought some.
You bought some, I can feel it later.
You can see it on Tuesday when I bring in the I'll have to make sure.
So I'm starting to knit the little garter tab. So I'm getting this skinny little thing here, which I knit for 18 rows.
Yeah, 18 rows.
Yes.
And then you're going to pick up stitches.
I'm going to pick up stitches along the edge here.
And then across the bottom.
The bottom.
And I don't know whether you come back at the other side.
It's a while since I've done one. So yeah, you pick it. So 18, and then you're going to pick up 18 stitches in your 18 rows, and then turn again, pick up 3, and then you go to that's one edge, and then you just go. So you're creating this.
So the tab is So the tab is sort of that way. When you pick them up, you're sort of knitting.
You're knitting on 3 sides effectively,
like that, across,
and one side you don't go across.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of building up this little curve.
And you make one left, for those of you, because you use make one left a lot to actually do the increases in that pattern. Make one left is where you put your right hand needle through. No, left hand needle through from the front to the back.
Yeah, I always think of it that because if you think left, it's got an F in it, so you're coming through the front.
Oh, that's a good way of thinking about
it. And a right hand one is people say I'll be right back, so that's at the back. So, but I always think, the F one's quite good because left has F, and therefore I'm going through the front, and then the other one just sorts itself out.
I remember that one because it's a bit like I could never, when you screw something.
Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey.
I think it's that inner child. But it's every time I go to tighten, it's when I go and do the cord, when you're doing these even, I'm like, oh yeah, righty-tighty.
It is actually really useful. I only learned that about 10 years ago. It's kind of like, for years I'll be trying to undo light bulbs and things completely the wrong way around and having them.
We're both
tighter.
Yeah, we're both using Chalgu needles, aren't we? Interchangeables.
I love them.
I'd love to know what needles people like to use. I have got the Chalgu wooden ones as well. They're beautiful. Have you ever used them?
I've got the bamboo. I haven't got their latest wooden ones.
Yeah, which mine are the bamboo ones.
Yeah, their latest kind of super expensive wood ones I haven't got.
There is a new brand called Lagoon or something as well. They're an ebony.
Liquor?
No, I bought some liquor at LYKKE. It's pronounced liquor. I bought some of those at Unravel because
I've never tried them.
No, I had a set before, but I just didn't have them in a size that I use most commonly. So I I seem to use 3.5, 4mm a lot. So I thought, well, I'll get a couple of interchangeables and get a couple of different cable lengths.
The ones that I'd like to try and I haven't yet is a Japanese brand called Knit.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. And they're meant to be very, very smooth, and it has a kind of click connection. And I keep on looking at it, but I haven't. What I'd like to get in them is maybe slightly shorter ones, because these are both the 5. I've got 5-inch in both sizes, in both the bamboo and the metal. And I think if I bought any more needles, I'd go for a 4-inch, because I think that would justify me buying something else, because sometimes it might be useful to have that slightly shorter full-size needle.
Yeah.
Because I've got the little shorties as well, and they're great for doing sleeves. I love socks. And socks. Yeah. But I think maybe if I went back, I might have preferred to have bought the 4-inch Xiaogus rather than the 5, because I think it might be a little bit more versatile.
Yeah, a few people saying they use Xiaogus.
We've got Tracy likes higher.
Oh, I like higher. I've got higher sharps, which I love.
They're very sharp.
They are very sharp. I have pierced my skin.
And the trouble is, you keep doing it, don't you?
Yeah,
exactly the same place.
Really, but I do love them for really fine sort of yarns.
Yeah.
I do. I'm very fond of and I like the cables on the higher as well.
I haven't tried higher.
Although they haven't got the cord through them like Xiaogu have, they don't twist and bend. I find they're really good.
Because Knit Picks, I found is it Knit Picks?
Knit Pro.
I get in such a tangle sometimes.
They keep twisting up and around.
But I think they ease out, don't they? If you put them in a bit of warm water, they relax.
Yeah, because I think they get a memory, don't they?
Someone likes zings. Jane likes her zings.
Yeah, they're called Lang, I think. Now I think the Knit Pro zings. They're quite slippy, aren't they, in terms of the actual metal? But we have them here in the shop. We do have zings in the shop, and people do like them. I'm just looking at some of these comments, because a few people are sort of worried because they're not on Instagram or whatever. As I said earlier, don't worry, because you can comment just on you're here on YouTube. You can just comment on the YouTube and share sort of your comments on the YouTube, because as well with the prizes, I'll be selecting from comments as well as selecting from images that I see. And if you are on Ravelry, you can also use Ravelry as well as a method of communicating with us. Look at the time. It's already 57 minutes we've been on air. So we're going to be wrapping up shortly. But I hope you've enjoyed this session, and I hope you found it helpful. As I said, any questions, start popping them in the comments. I will, for those of you who are worried that you're going to miss any of the lives, I will always upload them. It might take me till the next day. It's getting on to be quite late here on a Sunday evening, so it might be tomorrow that I upload it. But I will try and add in any sort of hashtags and our website details and links to the patterns again, so that people know where they are. Somebody's asked how many of us here live in Cornwall. Fran. she lives up the road, and I live about 500 meters away from her, so not far away. But yeah, so I think a few people, but we seem to have people from all over the world, which is the beauty of these sorts of platforms, isn't it? That we can connect. We can connect no matter where we are. I was talking to quite a few people at Unravel who were sort of saying that they are still quite lonely after COVID. They've not actually
I think it's been hard
with people, or they have this passion for yarn, but their partner doesn't understand it, or they've got other commitments, which means they can't connect with other people.
Luckily, my partner does woodwork, so he understands the need for good tools.
Mine, well, at the moment it's a Rugby World Cup, which he's like glued to, but he cycles. So
that's huge amounts of kit. That's kit heavy, and of course a lot of people down here in Cornwall have water sports, and they're all kit heavy as well. So
I just don't fess up. It's a bit like that item cleaners and that thing.
Take the tags off, put us in the back of the wardrobe.
He wouldn't know one skein of yarn to another. Mind you, he hasn't seen my haul from Unravel. No, I will be knitting that all up now, and it was for the shop, so I'll be using them as samples for the shop. So anyway, lovely to see everybody,
and I'll see people in Ravelry in the Aster Shawl. I'm going to be joining in with that. So.
I'll be going in and sort of looking a couple of times a week at the comments and commenting too. But if you are on Instagram, use that hashtag. If you aren't, don't worry. It'll be lovely if you can just send us your pictures. And if you can't do it any other way, just send them to me via email, and I'll make sure that we can show them on the screen here and name you. So yeah, this is all about community and getting involved. So lovely to see you, and we'll see you Friday, the next Friday, which is the what's the date on Friday?
Friday is
15th, I think 15th at 7 p.m. British Summer Time for our next live. See how you're getting on.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I think that went fine, didn't it?